Hello guys, in this short video I'm going to show you how you can make simple spiders extracting data from websites with the Scrapy framework. Scrapy is a Python framework that is written in Python, and you can write many spiders extracting data in different formats with it. So let's start by first maybe creating a directory to hold our project. Let's call it Scrapy. We go there, and now this is not exactly necessary, but it's really good practice. Every Python project you have to use a virtual environment for it. These are Python virtual environments, and with Python 3.5, 3.6 you can create it just by typing Python, the Python version -m venv, and then the name of the environment, so I'll call it Scrapy venv, and this will create a directory named Scrapy venv in the current directory. And now I can activate this environment by sourcing, this is in bash or zshow, by sourcing the activate file from this directory. It's in the name of the environment /bin/activate. I'm sourcing it, and now I'm using Python from this environment. If I type which Python to see which Python interpreter I'm using, you can see it's from the directory I just created. Why do we do this? This is so when you're installing dependencies and Python packages, you don't mess your global Python packages, because when you have multiple projects, let's say you're using multiple Scrapy versions or something like that, it's everything is separated and you get a clean environment every time. They don't step on each other's toes. So now that I have the environment and I have activated it, it's time to install Scrapy. It's as simple as typing pip install Scrapy. I just realized maybe I should call it Scrapy. I don't know really how it's pronounced. Maybe they mention on their website. So it takes few seconds to install, and while we wait for that, actually it's ready. Okay, so now there is a command available named Scrapy, and you can do several things with it. First thing you want to do, of course, is start a project. Start project, and you type the project name, and this will be the simple crawler. We're not going to do anything fancy in this crawler. Now this command creates a directory named simple crawler, and it even gives you instructions how you should continue from here on. You go in this directory and you can generate a spider with Scrapy Gen Spider. But first, before we do that, I'll open this directory in the editor, and I'll just go over the files that it created. Now, as you can see, what it did, it created a Scrapy CFG file, which is right now you don't need this file to know anything about it, because it's mainly for deployment, meaning when you're running Scrapy on a centralized server or something like that. And here under simple crawler are all of our spider files. Everything, all the settings that are related to Scrapy are configured in the settings py file, and they are in simple format, usually setting equals something like that. We'll go over in details later. pipelines, middlewares, items. These are Scrapy concepts for how you organize things in your spiders. And here in the spiders directory will be the actual spiders. So let's go and just type Scrapy gen spider. And now I'm thinking to show you how you can scrape this one. It's a shop for sportsdirect.com. There are plenty of products. We're just going to scrape some product names with prices, maybe images. Let's see how it goes. So I'll call the spider Sports Direct. Should be Gen Spider, not Get Spider. And domain. What is this domain? Okay, now we have a new file here called Sports Direct. And we have the start URLs of the spider, meaning it will start crawling from this URL downwards or wherever. And in the allowed domains, we put only domains we want to be crawled, meaning when the spider starts crawling and we pass it links to crawl, further deep down in the site. If we don't want to care and check every link, we can just now I put a full URL here. It should be a domain name. So the spider will not make any requests outside of the allowed domains here. So, and what we have here is only a single empty method parse, which will be called once our start URL is fetched. Now the thing is, I don't really want to crawl the full, the start page. It's way too many things. I'll just pick a subsection so we have something saner to work with. Let's say men's shirts. And here we have a nice product list. So I'm taking this URL and I'm using it as a start URL. And now, as the simplest thing, actually the simplest thing I can do is maybe just print what's on this page. This should just print the HTML I got from the spider. Now, how do you run a spider? You just type Scrapy crawl and the spider name, Sports Direct. This will start the spider, will fetch, and what do we have? Oh, okay. See, this is with allowed domains. So basically, obviously, they're doing a local redirect, and since I'm in Bulgaria, they redirect me to bg.sportsdirect.com. And since this is not in the allowed domains, actually, it cuts out the request. So let's do it like that. So we don't care which domain exactly it is. We just want everything on sportsdirect.com. And we run it again. And what do we have this time? Here. This is our print, because I'm printing the response. Yes, if I want the actual HTML, I should do response.txt. And now, when I run it again, I have so much HTML output. How do I extract what I need from it? Here is where Scrapy makes it really easy to extract data. Basically, the response method has the response object has two ways of extracting data from HTML. One is CSS, which is using CSS selectors, and the other one is XPath, which is using to select elements with XPath expressions. Now, usually it's, especially if you know a little bit about CSS and HTML, it's much easier to work with the CSS selectors. That's what I'm going to show you. But I mean, they're equally valid. It's a matter of choice. So now, what do we want to extract from here? We have a nice grid of products with a picture. What is this? Brand name, product name, and a price. So let's try extracting the brand, the product, and the price as a starter. How do we approach this? So I'll just inspect one element here. And Chrome, also Firefox, makes this really easy because like you can just hover like this and see what's the bounding box of single element. And if I do like this, I'll select, okay, it's a div that contains all this information, and it has a class that is s-product_box. So if I select this div, all the information I need will be inside of this div, because the price, the brand name, the product name, even the picture are inside it, are under this div. And if you keep on hovering like that, you can even see the separate elements. Like this is the picture. Somewhere here there will be a span or something with the price. I mean, I guess I just need to, yeah, and here there is a div with the price, and so on. So that's another thing that Scrapy has, that makes really easy to see how to actually extract the data. It's called the Scrapy shell. So you just run it, and now you can do it gives you an interactive Python console, and in this console you can just type Python code, and it gives you also few useful methods, like for example the fetch method. What do we do with the fetch method? We just type fetch and the URL we want, and now it has fetched the URLs and created a response object, the same response object I will get here in the in my parse method. This is so now I can use it to experiment with the page, to see what's there, you know. So I've already identified the div that has all the data for a single product that I need, and it's with the class s/s-product_box. So if I want to select it with a CSS selector, I can even show you here in Google Chrome. This is going to be, okay, where's my console? Document, query selector all, and now I type dot, this is for a CSS class, s-product_box. Okay, product_box, and one more B. Yeah, sorry for the typos. And now it gives me a list of 100 elements. So if I just use this selector, I will get all the product boxes here, all the product divs here on this page. I assume they are around 100. So let's see. I'm typing here response CSS. And I have again how many? 100 divs. Okay, I can work on all the 100 divs at the same time, but actually I don't want that. So I'll just save it into a list. So let's call it products. So now I have product, not product. So now I have a list of all the divs that contain the products. Actually, this is good so far. I can just move it here in my spider. Now, since I don't want to extract all of the products at once, I want them extracted one by one so I can make a nice object. I'll pick one. Let's call it P. Products 0. I'll just take the first one. And now, if I just use it, it gives me this div. Now, the other nice thing about the Scrapy selectors is once you get something with the CSS or XPath selector, you can keep drilling down with more CSS or XPath selectors. So let's say now I want to get the brand name. Let's see how the HTML looks like. You can just pick the mouse and select, and you can see this is a span with a class name, product description, brand. So, and in P we have a single product, so I can just do P CSS again dot for a CSS class, product description, brand, and I have a span. You see, it's the same span. It's the same span that's on the page here. So, how do I get the text out of this span? So here are some magic selectors that are available in Scrapy, and they are not actually valid CSS selectors, but they make this kind of text extraction easier. So for example, once I select a span or a div or anything, you know, I can just type here in the selector double colon text, and you see now data is only Pierre Cardin, which is the brand name of the first product, I guess. But I still get only a selector, not a string, and I want a string with the brand name. So what I do is I call extract. The extract method extracts all the like it gets the textual representation of the selectors, which in this case is just the what's contained in the span element. Now, as you see, it returns a Python list, even though it's only one element. So when you know, this is because, you know, selectors generally they are abstract concept, and they may contain a single element or a list of elements, and this is just because of how selector works, like either CSS or XPath selectors. They can always yield a list of elements. That's why the extract method always returns list. And if you know that it's only one element in the list, or you know, or you care only about the first element, you can use extract first. So this gives me a nice string that contains the brand. So how do I transfer this into my spider? What I can do now is iterate over the products, product for P in products, and now P will be each separate selector for product, and now I can use this selector to get the brand. And let's see how we get the product name. The product name is contained in element with the CSS called product description name. Product description name. Here we have the product name. So name, and what else we can get? We can get the price. Again, we select it with select the element, and here you can see this span has multiple classes, like it has current size large, currency size large, current price, product has ref, and so on. Like, I don't need to be very specific about it. Like, I can use, I assume here current price, this current price actually means this is the price, because they have several ways of listing a price. Here they have a discounted price, so this element with the real price, not the original, the discounted price, contains the current price class. And here where it's not discounted, let's see what kind of classes it has. Again, it has current price. So by using only current price, we can get the price no matter whether it's discounted or a regular price. So let's see if I just select an element that has current price. Okay, and I get the price in euro. Price. So now that we have this, maybe we can try to print it, see what we have. Let's say we print the brand, the product name, and the price. Okay, cool. Let's run our spider, see what happens. And I get plenty of products printed on the console with all kind of brands, product names, and so on. Okay, this is great. How do I save this data on disk now? Basically, of course, you can just open a file and save it yourself using some Python code. But Scrapy gives you a way to automatically manage this for you. So what do? You create items. They're called items in Scrapy, and you define them in the items.py. So you open here and it created some kind of item for you already. It's empty, but I'll rename it and I'll call it product item. And here you need to define each field that the item will have. So for example, I have brand, I have name, and I have price. Now you see our defined as Scrapy.field. Like, it's irrelevant. These are just so you don't put extra fields. Or you can put anything in each of these fields. You can put a string, a number, a list, or dictionary, whatever. The only thing you do here in this class is define the names of the attributes that the item will have. This is used for serializing in JSON or CSV or stuff like that. And now how do I use this in my spider? I just go and I import from items, import product item. And once I import this, I can make item product item. I create a new item, and then I can assign to each attribute like this: brand equals brand, item name, product name, and item price equals price. Okay, I created the item, but Scrapy doesn't know anything about it. So in order to give it to Scrapy for processing, I'll yield it. Yield item. What this happens is this is using a concept from Python called generators, and I'm not going into details now what generators are or how they work, but basically this will push the item, this yield item will push the item into the Scrapy pipeline of processing items or requests. I mean, it's a mixed pipeline. It knows what to do with each object based on what it represents. And now Scrapy knows about the items already. So if I rerun the same spider, instead of printing the items, it will just print. Okay. I need to, from items, import. Okay. Yeah, relative imports. And now instead of having them simply print on the console, I can see that Scrapy is printing the following messages: scraped from which URL it was scraped, and I get a JSON with the actually the content of the item. So, and you see I get a lot of these printed out, but still they're only printed to the console. I cannot, they are not on disk. Not very useful to me. So the items go through the pipeline, but the pipeline goes nowhere. It just goes on the console. And here comes a Scrapy setting that tells you where to save the pipeline or the feed. There are a few ways to do it. You can just call set. Set is an option that allows you to set Scrapy option. And the option is called field URI. And let's make it products.gl. GL stands for JSON lines, because what Scrapy will do, it will save a single JSON object on each line in the file. This makes it easier for processing, like especially processing large amounts of JSON data. So let's rerun the spider. We get this printed, and we get also products.gl. Let's open it. And here you can see we have a single JSON object on each line with the brand, the name, and the price. And now you can process this JSON file however you want. Now that we have our spider saving data from a single page, all the data, we have all the products from a single page, maybe it's good to add crawling all the pages. Like we have 5 pages of products in it, we want them all. So how can we approach that? One way is to use the next link here on the pager. Let's see, we have a single pager, or yeah, we have 2 pagers actually. So let's inspect this next link and see what it got. Basically, when we click that link, we will go on the next page and we can scrape the next page. So let's go back in the shell. Fetch the URL. And now let's see if we can find the link. We can see that the link has 2 classes, swipe next click and next link. Let's see what next link will yield. Response dot next link. And here we get 2 links because there is one such link on the top of the page and one on the bottom. They are basically the same, so I can just use the first one. And what do I need out of this link? I need the href attribute. How do I get it? Here is another special selector as with the double colon text. You can use double colon at attr and you get a named attribute, in which case this is the href. and extract. Okay, here it's only extract, I guess. Yes. Okay, so now I have an URL of the next link, and we can even check what happens when we're on the last page, because this should not yield any link when we're on the last page. Yeah, indeed, there is no, so it will just work. So what I can do now is take this and save it, next page. I will have the next page link here. And what will happen if I don't have a link? Let's just check it, it's easier. Like I can fetch again the last page and see what happens when this selector is non-existent, or I can simply put a non-existing selector, and of course this fails because we should make the logic a little bit smarter. Selector. So what we'll get is we'll get all the selectors, and only if there is at least one we'll extract it. So basically what happens here, with this CSS selector we get all the links that are the next link to the next page. This will be either an empty list or a list of 1 or 2 links depending. There will be always 2 links in this case. This shows Sports Direct. So if it's an empty list, if this will be false, so we will not go down here, so we can safely extract the first element. So we get the next page, the next page link. The only question now is how do we give it to Scrapy so it can fetch more links. This is where we are using a new request, scrapy.request with URL that we want it to fetch. Basically what this will do, this will again push this object into the Scrapy pipeline, but this time this is a request object. So instead of saving it in our JSON file with items, Scrapy will just push it in the HTTP fetching pipeline, where it will fetch the URL and call again the parse method with the newly fetched data. So basically what this will do is, Scrapy does this automatically for you, but what it will do is it will fetch this URL that we pass it with the URL parameter, and we will call again the same parse method with this URL because it's the same kind of page and we want to process it in the same way. There are ways to make different parsing methods for different URLs, but we don't need this right now. So let's try it. Let's see if we can scrape all the pages now. I rerun the spider. By the way, let's see how many products we got. Products geo. We have 100 products. Okay, I will delete this file so we can see, because how this works in this feed, with this feed URI, it will always append, it will always append to the end of the file. So when you run multiple times, you'll get duplicate items. So you will want to save it into a new file every time that you're making a brand new scrape. So I'm deleting the file so I get the same products, but this time we should get more because we should have scraped 5 pages. So I'm running, but we can even see here in the statistics, item scraped only 100. Why didn't it fetch? And we can see there is some kind of error. missing scheme in the request URL. So this is a gotcha you need to know. You here in the URLs, you always need to pass full URL, you know, like this with the schema and domain and everything. You cannot pass relative URLs because Scrapy doesn't know relative to what this URL is. And see, we passed relative URL. So what do we do about it? Scrapy has a way to make full URL out of a relative one by using response URL. Okay, it was something with join URL, but it should be response URL. Okay, let's just search it in the documentation. Because I don't URL join maybe. Or maybe we can play this game for a long time. Yes, this one, URL join. And this is under the response object, of course. Why URL join? Probably the auto suggestion gets confused. Okay, let's see now. I will remove my products geo again and rerun the scraper. Seems like this time we're getting more items, and yes, we see at 8 items scraped count we have 413. Let's see the JSON file. So we get 4 pages, 100 items, and I guess on the last page it's only 30 items, that's why it's 413. Let's see. Yes, quite a few items. Okay, this was quite simple, right? Not so complicated to make a scraper that scrapes some products out of a website. Hope you enjoyed this lesson, tutorial, whatever it is. And